Boxing King Media in association with Boxer Spencer Oliver. We've got you for a few minutes. I'm just going to quickly speak to you about some trending topics in boxing at the moment. One of the first things I want to speak to you about is this whole dispute between Lawrence Okolie and Eddie Hearn. Both parties have kind of, given their sides of the argument. Lawrence suggested last week that Eddie asked him for £500,000 from his offer that he got from Sky. Eddie's responded and denied that. Who do we believe as boxing fans?
This is a difficult situation, isn't it? Because Lawrence has got his side, Eddie's got his side. I know it's with the legal teams at the moment, but until it's sorted, Lawrence can't move on with his career. So, I feel sorry for him as an ex-fighter myself. I know how frustrating that can be. Hopefully they get this matter sorted sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's a difficult one, and I do feel for Lawrence at the moment because I understand that, an unhappy fighter's, not a good place to be. So I understand, what he wants from it, but Eddie's got his side to it as well. So we'd just have to see how that one plays out.
Obviously, Lawrence is quite vocal in the fact that he feels, he hasn't got a fight left in his contract. Obviously, none of us know the full facts of it, which is fair. But obviously, he then suggested this £500,000. I spoke to Benn the other day. Ben didn't want to go into it. He said it's between them two.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? It's like difficult for me to comment on it because we don't know the ins and outs of it. Only Lawrence knows that and Eddie Hearn knows that. So, like I say, they will sort it out in due time, I'm sure. And hopefully it gets sorted out sooner rather than later because Lawrence Okolie is one of our, good world champions. I think Eddie Hearn done a great job with him. I'm not taking that away from Eddie. He's done a great job with him, but something's gone wrong somewhere along the line and Lawrence wants to move on. So I'm hoping for the sake of Lawrence Okolie, they can sort it out sooner rather than later and Lawrence can continue with his career in the new year.
I asked Eddie last week, is it, what's the issue? Because I think he said previously if a fighter didn't want to be with him, he'd let him go. And he was quite vocal about the fact that he obviously made that tweet and he feels offended by it. And because of that, he feels like he needs to stand his feet solid. From Eddie's point of view, he's built it from scratch. Despite the negativity that Lawrence has had in his career, he's done well for him, like you said.
Absolutely. Listen, you've got to understand it from Eddie's side as well. Because, if you think where Lawrence Okolie was at, yeah, he had a great amateur career, bronze medal in the Olympics and all that. But Eddie Hearn done a fantastic job with him. He guided him, and that's what, good promoters, good managers do. They guide the fighter in the right time, get him in the right position at the right time and get him the right opportunities. And Eddie Hearn, you can't take that away from Eddie and what he's done with Lawrence Okolie, right? We've got to underline that he's done a fantastic job for him. But somewhere along the line, something's broke down and Lawrence is now not happy. So, I'm just hoping, for the sake of both parties, they can get it sorted sooner rather than later because it is frustrating because we want to see Lawrence back in the ring, yeah? I think, Lawrence has sort of got to a stage in his career where he's looked great under the guidance of Shane McGuigan. Shane's taken him to a place where his timing's now right, he's found his distance, things that were missing from Lawrence at the time, and you think, I hope he gets it right because I think he's got the talent, but I'm not sure if he can implement that in the ring. And we've seen that in his last few fights. And as a cruiserweight, he's going to be a difficult guy to beat. But unfortunately, this is all hanging over him at the moment. And I understand it from both sides, if I'm totally honest. Lawrence wants to move on. He's not happy. Right, I get that. You know what I mean? And I hope that he gets that sorted out. But you've got to understand it from Eddie's side of things as well, that, Eddie's put a lot of time into him, a lot of money into him, and he's developed him well, and he guided him to that world title. So you can't take that away from Eddie, really.
Definitely, the jury's still out. I want to speak to you about your good friend Anthony Joshua. You've known AJ a long, long time. You probably know him better than most pundits out there. Yeah. You will have seen all the criticism and comments people have been making online about the fact that he's now, Robert Garcia's come out and confirmed that they've parted ways. Yeah. They had a phone conversation. Just give me your initial thoughts prior to AJ looking for a new trainer. Did you want him to find another trainer?
I think AJ maybe needs to go back to the beginning and go back to grassroots and find, because I know he's out there searching for new things. I know, listen, I do know him on a personal note and I know him well. And his head's not in the right space at the moment. I think at the moment for AJ, he needs a bit of time out and he needs to find the right trainer. He needs to feel comfortable before he can move on with his career. He's coming off them back-to-back losses against Alexander Usyk. His confidence is a little bit shot at the moment. And that's why he's gone out there. And credit to him, he's gone out to America and he's looking for a new trainer. And he's looking for someone that fits the bill. And only he will know that because, again, speaking as an ex-fighter, you know straight away whether you gel, whether you got that that chemistry with you and your trainer, and that's what AJ can't find at the moment. You know, so it's a frustrating time for him. I hope he finds that sooner rather than later, because time's ticking on now. You know, he's a former two-time world heavyweight champion. He's been around a while now, and he needs to get things sorted sooner rather than later. But until he finds that trainer, his head's not going to be in the right space, and he's not going to be able to move on and mix it with the big boys. You know, the heavyweight division at the moment at the top is tough. And AJ, you know, if he wants to get back in the mix, he's got to find a trainer that's gonna fit the bill. Like I say, but that takes time. Yeah, when you get to team up with a trainer, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't just all of a sudden go, oh, bang, let's implement new things and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So maybe it'd be best for AJ to go back to where it all started. I think that's where it might be best, because that worked for him. Absolutely, that worked for him. You know, that worked for him. And then obviously he had that defeat against Andy Ruiz, and he decided he needed to change things up. Since he's done that, it hasn't really moved forward. So maybe going back to where it started is the best thing for him. You know,
do you think the relationship might be too severe now?
This is the problem. I don't know the damage between the two. I don't know that, because I never asked AJ about that, and I don't know if there's been too much damage done. But what I'm saying is looking at it as a fan, and as, you know, looking at it as a fan, I think that's maybe the best place for him, because that's where he was getting all his success. You know, and I understand, listen, you get beat. He had that fight with Ruiz. He got beat. He went back to the drawing board. He adjusted it. He adapted his style, and he won the return or whatever. But I just think, yeah, sometimes when you've been with a trainer for so long, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And with AJ, that's where he got all his success, and perhaps that's where he needs to go again.
Robert Garcia said in his comments, and I don't know what you think of this, he kind of suggested that AJ is obviously making the decisions. I think I can't remember the exact quotes, or if you read them or not. He said something about, you know, when he's making runs, he's got to do what the trainer tells him to do, type of thing.
Sure. Yeah. No. Listen. Absolutely. It's like the fighter doesn't call the shots. Like, you got to believe in the trainer. That's the idea of it. The trainer's the second eyes looking in. The trainer knows what's best for the fighter. So that's what is missing from AJ's career at the moment. You know, he needs someone to tell him what's needed to be done. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you don't need yes men around you, because yes men, that doesn't help you push forward in your career. I think that's what AJ's looking for. AJ's like a sponge, right? That he soaks up a lot of information, and I feel that he's just travelling around at the moment. Like, you know, he's a guy that just wants to move forward with his career now, and he's like sort of in this no space at the moment. No, like, he can't find that. Do you know what I'm saying? He's like a jigsaw with a missing piece. He can't find the right trainer at the moment. And until he does, he will know that when he does. But like I say, like, he's looking around for all these different trainers and everything else. But that takes time, man. And I go like, that's why I keep reverting back to this. Listen, go back to where it all started, mate. That's where you had your success, and that's where maybe you need to be again.
Interesting stuff. Last topic I want to speak to you about, Spencer's statement from Conor Benn he made the other week. I'm sure you would have read it. No clarity on it, but there's a suggestion that he's proven his innocence. What do you make from it all?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I saw the statement. And yeah, it was interesting, but it didn't really tell us anything, did it? The statement was, you know, I've proven my innocence. I'm going to take time out with my family, and I understand that he's been through a tough time. And I want to put it out there, you know, as a person, I like Conor Benn. I've got a lot of time for Conor Benn. I love the kid, and I think he's done great. But the facts are the facts. And as it stands at the moment, he's failed 2 different tests at 2 different times. So I don't know how you prove your innocence on that one. It's going to be a difficult job for him. But he seems the statement released did suggest that he has now proven his innocence. So only time will tell. So we have to wait and see what that statement is. But like I say, you know, the reason I've been so vocal about this whole thing the whole time, and you know more than anyone because I've done these interviews with you, the reason I've been so vocal about this whole situation is I was a boxer that nearly lost my life in the ring. So I know the dangers of the sport, and I'm not happy about any drug cheats in the sport. So I'm always going to be vocal about that. The facts as it stood were Conor Benn failed 2 tests. So I get a lot of shit from certain parties about the way that I commented on these things. And I'm not going to mention no names at the moment, but I will mention them in due time. But I got a lot of shit, and I'm like, really? You're giving me shit? Why am I now becoming the victim? All I'm doing is highlighting what is going on. We all want to keep this sport as clean as possible. And I got a lot of shit from a certain party that I wasn't happy about, if I'm totally honest, and I will be vocal about it another time, and I'll do that with you as well. But as it stands at the moment, yeah, all right, he said he's proven his innocence, but we haven't seen that yet. So until then, he's still guilty. So I can't comment on it anymore, and I will stand by my word and say, you know, it is what it is at the moment. And until he does that, and I get, you know, that Connor's gone through a rough time and everything else, but we have to look at the situation and what was going on in that fight, right? What was going on in that fight, the way it was being built, the unrealistic weight that Eubank was being made to make, and then what come out at the end of it on the 11th hour with him failing these drug tests and whatever else. Of course I'm going to be vocal about it. Like I say, listen, I know the dangers of the sport. People can die in the ring. So, come on, let's be real about this. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm being real about it. I'll go, as it stands at the moment, you know, the tests that he failed have failed. So, how do you prove your innocence on that? I'm not sure. He says that he has, but, you know, he says he's gonna go away and have a Christmas privately with his family, and he's going to come back in January, and that's it. But if you've proven your innocence, just fucking release a statement. That's my thoughts on it, because that's what I would do in that situation. So it's all very, very complicated at the moment, and like I say, like I'm a bit frustrated by it all, because I've been vocal about it, and I'll remain vocal about it until proven otherwise. And if for whatever reason he does get proved innocent, I'm not sure how that does happen, but if he does, then I'll say, well, fair enough. Well, why didn't we just know that before then? You know, I know there's been like a 250-page document being presented to lawyers, etc., but I just can't understand, mate. And I mean, you might be able to help me out on this one, but if you've tested positive twice, how can you undo that? I don't know.
I don't know, Spencer. I'm just here to ask the questions.
Yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying, though? Because that's where I'm getting, like, confused with it all. I'm going, well, you fucking tested positive twice, mate, so how can you untest positive? Do you know what I'm saying? So we've got to hear his story and his side from it. That's fair enough. Let's hear it. But the problem is, it's been a long time now. When was that? Back in October time or something? And we're now going into the new year, and we still... Oh, sorry, back in July time. Sorry, July time. What am I talking about? October. I'm getting confused. I'm merging all these fights into one. Yeah, back in July time. So, I mean, we're talking the best part of what, 6 months by the time we hear anything? I understand there's legal proceedings going on behind it or whatnot, but it is a long time. So, it is what it is. But, you know, we'll see.
Spencer, as always, I really appreciate your views, and we're just here to chat about whatever's hot in boxing. So, as always, I appreciate it, and have a good Christmas.
Yeah, you too, mate, and everybody else that's watches this. We've had a good fun time over the last 12 months or so. So yeah, look forward to 2023. Everyone enjoy your Christmas and a happy New Year.